So you've got your project in polyester primer. It's cured and you're ready to start blocking it. What grits do you use? First thing you gotta do is you gotta guide coat. You'll do this between every grit step. Every 3M makes this, Merca makes this, Norton makes this. This is 3M, but I used Merca because it also works for the wet sanding process on the clear coat. That doesn't matter right now. Now you want to start blocking your poly with either 100 grit or 120. 100's better. 120 is fine. That's what I use. Sometimes I find if you start with 100 grit, you take too much material off and you don't have enough left to finish the other two grits. If you have your car straight and you spray your poly even, 120 will be fine. If your gun pattern on your poly is heavy on one end or the other, you can actually spray ripples into your panel, so you might have to use 100 grit, you might have to use 80 grit to get it to block out even. So make sure you get your poly on there as even as possible. So I got this guide coated and I got some 120 grit on this block, and we'll block out this area. Alright, you got 120 grit, you got your guide coat, you got this block that is slightly flexible, so when you slightly push on it, it fits flat on the panel. So you just want to block this out like you would if this was filler, because that's all that polyester primer is. Just like Bondo, you don't want to push on your block. You want the sandpaper to do the work. I mean, you put light pressure on it. You definitely don't want to be pushing hard enough to move the panel. That defeats the purpose of everything. Now, just light pressure, just enough to make the sandpaper cut. You can see how the guide coat's showing. Now this could be my gun pattern's kind of showing up here. I recommend a 2.0 tip for something like this. I used to use a 3.0, but it really puts too much on too fast, and you can really create some lumps in your panel with it if it's not spraying perfect or if your pattern's not perfect. This is coming out pretty good, so I'll just continue blocking like this. I'm just going to do this one area just to show you the grits to use. So let's just finish this up real quick and we'll move on to the next grit. If you choose to use 100 grit over 120, this stuff will go a lot faster, but you got to be a little bit more careful. As in, as soon as you see your guide coat's gone, you don't want to keep sanding because you're just taking extra material off that you're going to need for the last two sanding steps. Okay. Once you have this blocked out and all your guide coat's gone, now you want to re-guide coat it, which I will do, and then move on to 220 grit. Not having a camera person makes this extra difficult. Stay there. Also, yes, you want to wear a dust respirator when you're sanding this stuff, because this dust is so fine, it goes everywhere. It goes through your clothes, it goes everywhere in your shop. It makes a mess. So, before you re-guide coat, blow it off, which I didn't do. You can clean it with wax and grease remover. And get your guide coat back out. Spill some over there. And reapply. Want to make sure you get it everywhere. And all the cracks and all the scratches. You can't put too much. I noticed with the Merca, it goes on a little darker than this, and you can really get it nice and black. The 3M, pretty much you can get it like this. So grab your block, get your 220 grit, and do the same thing. All over again. After you're done with the initial block with 100 grit or 120 grit, and you move on, the 220 grit and the 320 grit go way faster. It's like twice as fast. All right, that's about good enough. You can see guide coat's gone. And we will clean it off, apply the guide coat again, and do 320. Guide coat 320. Didn't stick. That happens. See if I can save it. If not, just get a new piece. I'll be getting a new piece. Clean this off on your favorite shirt. Grab the 320. And I did not clean that off good enough. Really clean this off. Clean, clean, clean. Clean, clean. Also, sandpaper, not the best. Just had it, so I'm going to use it. You can see now, when you get to the 220 to the 320, you're not straightening anything out. It should sand nice and even. There's no more lows and highs showing up. It's all coming off at pretty much the same rate. All you're doing is refining the scratches, getting the scratches to a 320 grit. So here you can see, sanded out to 320. When you get it locked out in 320, blow it off really well. You can take wax and grease remover and you can wet it down. And if there's any scratches you missed, they'll really show up when they're wet, and you'll see a dark line from the guide coat. So check it over really well. You don't want a stray 120, 220 scratch to come back later when you're putting it in sealer. It's not the time to find it. And also, if you break through to Bondo, which happens, nothing's perfect, and you need to spot in an area with poly, do it in the 220 grit stage. Don't wait till you get it sanded into 320, then come back and spray spots with poly. You can do that when you'll find it usually in 120 grit. But if you don't hit metal and you don't need to put any more filler on, just keep going, sand it to 220, and then you can spot your filler areas in, block them back out, and then do all the 320 at once. After your 320 is all done, you can get those 3M soft sanding sponges and like a 400 or 600 grit. You could run over it with that just to smooth everything out and refine the scratch just a little bit more. What I do is I take a DA with an interface pad and a hook it sandpaper. It's like 600 grit, and I'll just run over the panels real quick. It just refines the scratch a little bit more, and I don't know, something I like to do. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I would recommend it though, at least the soft sanding sponges, just to clean everything up just that little bit. And that's pretty much it for poly. The next step would be sealer, basically. Everyone has their own methods. Some people final prime and then wet sand. Some people go straight from here to sealer. What I do is I spray 2 or 3 coats of sealer on, let it sit, and then I'll sand that with 400, then 600, and then straight to paint. I don't do a wet on wet sealer to base, but that's not what this video is about. It's pretty much just about the sanding grits I use to block out poly and what I found works the best. There was a little bit of information on blocks. If you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comment, or if you have any ideas on what I could do a video on, something you are wondering about, something you need to know, let me know, and I'll try to help you out. Hopefully this was of some help to anybody that was wondering. This part of the project is not the funnest, just because it's so messy. But it is kind of fun to dial everything in and see the body lines really take shape and really see what the car is going to look like in paint. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, ask questions. See you later.